Okay, I will now call tonight's meeting to order. The Evanston Preservation Commission, we have a quorum of 8 commissioners present. The City of Evanston's Preservation Ordinance empowers this body to safeguard our community's historic, cultural, and architectural heritage. The Commission encourages public participation and affords due process through public hearings on proposed landmark designations and applications for certificates of appropriateness. The ordinance requires commissioners to apply specific review standards and includes the ability to consider economic hardship and special merit as needed. We ask anyone who wishes to address the Commission to sign in and indicate the discussion item, designation, or application to be addressed. The first order of business tonight will be public comment on items listed under discussion on the meeting agenda. For old and new business, the chair of the commission will ask staff to read each case into the record. Once the case has been read into the record, the applicant presents an overview of the proposal, including evidence and testimony that supports the applicable standards being met. The commissioners will then ask questions of the applicant. Following the questioning period, members of the public may speak toward the application, keeping their comments to 3 minutes or less. Following public comment, the applicant will have the opportunity to respond to any evidence or testimony against the application as it relates to the standards for review. After all parties have had a final opportunity to make objections or corrections, the Commission closes the record and proceeds to deliberation and then a motion to approve the proposal or approve with conditions. A simple majority of the quorum present is required for a motion to carry. The first order of business is public comment on the discussion section. Is anyone here from the public to speak on items under the discussion part of the agenda? Did anyone sign up online? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to old business. 1404 Judson Avenue, Landmark, Lakeshore Historic District, 23 Pres 0098, requires a continuance to our next meeting. Do we have a motion for continue? Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to continue 23 Pres 0098 to the September 12th meeting.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to new business, A is 1423 Judson Avenue, Lakeshore Historic District, 23 Pres 0121. Could staff please read that into the record?
1423 Judson Avenue, Lakeshore Historic District, case number 23, PRES 0121. Thomas Ailman, architect and applicant on behalf of the owner, submits for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing uncovered wood deck in the rear yard, alter the home's fenestration at the south, north, and east elevations of an existing rear volume 2-story addition, and construct a new single-story addition to the home's rear volume. Applicable standards: demolition 1 through 5, alteration 1 through 10, and construction 1 through 8, and 10 through 15.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Uh,
Could you just state your name for the record?
Sure. My name is Thomas Solomon, and I am the owner of Studio Tallow Architecture and the architect for this project.
Great, go ahead.
Sure, thanks, and thanks to you all for volunteering your time to be here tonight. The project is in the Lakeshore Historic District. As you described it, it's a single-story addition and renovation. The brief was to include a more modern, generous kitchen and renovate to include a primary suite on the second floor, which we were able to do without adding a second floor addition, and to do it in a way that looked good with the house, that they loved the historic character of the house and they wanted the addition to fit that. So there's no change to the front. The materials at the back are wood siding and shake siding to match the existing. If you want to move to the elevations. So that's the front. It's probably going to be most efficient to go to the the back, where all the action is, right? So you can see the wood deck that we're proposing to remove, and the addition of the kitchen volume, which has a shed roof, which is similar to the shed roof of the front porch. So we're using the same type of roof there. And there's a bay at the end, which is where there's a built-in for a breakfast area. That bay pops out a little bit, and that has a gable with the same roof slope and materials as the gable at the front of the house and the rear of the house. And the bay with the brackets is also a reference to the existing dining room, if you can go to the existing north elevation. You can see there's a bay there for the dining room. And so our bay at the back of the addition is the way to kind of grab a little bit more sunlight. On the second floor, we did look at options with an addition. We were able to avoid adding on to minimize the massing of the addition. It might be useful to look at the second floor plan here just to understand the context for why windows are moving. That's the basement. So you can see where the back wall of the house was. It's now kind of in the middle of the closet. The existing addition on the house is not particularly generous, so to kind of make the primary suite primary enough, we kind of pushed the closet into the middle bedroom, which was already a little bit bigger than at least one other bedroom. So we've got a closet and the bedroom and then the bathroom on the north. And those changes, the location of the bed and the bathroom, are the reason that we are shifting window locations. And there's one other change on the south elevation. One of the things that Troy and Kat mentioned in our first meeting is that the family room felt a little dark, which is odd, even though because it's on the south. So we're proposing to replace 2 windows with a group of 3 windows with the same, basically the same size and proportions, and still centered on the pair of windows above. We try to adhere to all of the criteria. We think we did pretty well on B2, B3, and B7 facade proportions, opening proportions, and materials, which are compatible with and the same as the existing home. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Commissioners have questions for the applicant at this point? Go ahead.
Hi, Thomas. The new windows will be what type, what material?
They are wood interior and aluminum clad exterior.
Okay, and
Marvin windows.
no muntins anywhere?
No, the existing house doesn't really have any muntins that we'd be referring to, so they're as we've drawn there, the double hungs.
And the casing, I understand the bay is a little unique, but the casing on the other new punctures, is that wood to match existing?
Yeah, we talked about siding materials. They were willing to go with wood rather than hardy fiber cement, which you probably see a lot of. So the trim will also be wood.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? Questions for the applicant? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak from the public? No? Okay, thank you very much. We'll have some deliberation. Or maybe not. Does anyone have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 1423 Judson Avenue, Lakeshore Historic District, 23 Pres 0121, for the demolition of an existing uncovered wood porch in the rear yard, alter the home's fenestration at the south, north, and east elevations of the existing rear volume, 2-story addition, and construct a new single-story addition to the home's rear volume. Applicable standards, demolition 1 through 5, alteration 1 through 10, and construction 1 through 8 and 10 through 15.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item B, under new business. 1126 Hinman Avenue, Lakeshore Historic District, 23 Pres 0122. Could staff read that into the record, please?
1126 Hinman Avenue in the Lakeshore Historic District, case number 23 PRES 0122. Thomas Allman, architect and applicant on behalf of the owner, submits for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing uncovered wood deck and single-story entry addition at the home's rear volume, alter the home's west elevation fenestration, and construct a new single-story addition to the home's rear volume. Applicable standards, demolition 1 through 5, alteration 1 through 10, and construction 1 through 8, and 10 through 15.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure. So my notes are very similar to the previous project. Lakeshore Historic District, single-story addition, no zoning relief. And the brief was also similar, a more functional, larger kitchen. This home actually didn't have a powder room on the first floor, so we needed to find a spot for that, and also to add a family room. We're not creating a new master suite, primary suite on the second floor. We are doing a fixture and finish renovation of the hall bath on the second floor, which you see from the back elevation. As with the previous project, the homeowners just bought this house. They haven't moved in yet. They're eager to move in. But they purchased it because they love the neighborhood and the historic character of the home, and they said, let's stick with that. There are no changes to the front, and I think maybe, like with the last one, if we could go to the rear elevation. So the materials on the addition are the same as the home, which is stucco. The bay, which you can see on the right there, is a window seat for the family room and a reference to the other bays in the dining room and at the front of the house. On the existing home, you can sort of see there the dashed-in location of the existing second floor windows, and we're, because of the way the addition meets the home, we're moving those windows over, and the bathroom window is becoming a high awning window. If you look at the south elevation, the existing primary bathroom actually has, I guess it's the south, sorry. Maybe the other way, yep. There's a glass block, but the window, the glazing for that bathroom is a similar proportion. So the opening that we're creating for the second bathroom is the same proportions as the window in the bathroom, the primary bathroom. So stucco, the deck and columns are composite materials. The windows are Marvin Elevate, so fiberglass clad wood windows on the addition. We felt like we did all right on the proportion of the facade and openings, B2 and B3, and especially the directional character of the home. The front of the house has a very strong horizontal orientation, which we were able to play to with the hipped roof. And then the primary materials are the same. And again, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from commissioners for the applicant? Go ahead.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi there.
Are the composite materials on the porch, the columns, and the balusters and railing, are they painted?
The columns are composite and they would be painted. The deck, you didn't bring a, oh, you did, okay. So the deck is, of the different Team Deck products, this is the one that they selected, and I can,
Okay.
John, did you mean the balusters?
Yeah, I meant the balusters and the
Not the
railing
deck.
system. Yeah.
You just want to make sure that you're speaking into the mic when you're.
Sure,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks.
you know, I think, I realized as I was looking over this and preparing my notes, I don't think we named that on the application, the railing. That's what your question was, the railing?
Yes.
So I'm going to huddle with my client for a second. Do you have strong feelings? So I mean, the railings could be wood. Yeah, so we'll go with wood then.
In something like a 1-inch square baluster.
That is a good question. So if you look at the front, we looked at different ways to do the railing. I think they are 1-inch square. If you look at the front, there's sort of a design where there are these kind of substantial piers and then lengths of balusters. We would match that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the elevate windows going into new stucco openings, is there any trim in between the two?
There would be the existing. We're just going to match the profiles of the existing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I was going to ask about the railings also.
Okay.
Does anyone else have questions for the applicant? Okay, is there anyone from the public here to speak on this project? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much. Discussion, deliberation among commissioners?
Yeah, I'm okay with the open balustrades rather than something like you have on the front porch, because it'll just make, it'll promote a better view of the backyard, make the porch feel more open. The interesting thing that I'm kind of torn about is that the front porch has square corner columns and then round columns in the center, and they actually hold the corners of the porch visually and architecturally. Although here, by pairing the round columns, you put further emphasis on the door and the stair on the point of entry. So, I don't know, it complements on another nice project.
Thanks.
Deliberation, comments? Okay, does anyone have a motion?
I can make it.
Sure.
Okay, for the property at 1126 Hinman, Lakeshore Historic District, case 23 Pres 0122, I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing uncovered wood deck and single-story entry addition at the home's rear volume, alter the home's west elevation fenestration, and construct a new single-story addition to the home's rear volume. The applicable standards are demolition 1 through 5, alteration 1 through 10, and construction 1 through 8, and 10 through 15.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
So I'll second again.
That was seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there something that we need to do? Okay. Item C, under new business, 2241 Sherman Avenue, Northeast Historic District, 23 Pres 0125. Could staff please read this into the record?
2241 Sherman Avenue in the Northeast Historic District, case number 23 PRES 0125. Thomas Allman, architect and applicant on behalf of the owners, submits for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing single-story addition and uncovered deck at the home's rear volume, alter the home's east elevation fenestration, and construct a new single-story addition and uncovered wood deck at the home's rear volume. Applicable standards: demolition 1 through 5, alteration 1 through 10, and construction 1 through 8 and 10 through 15.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Sure. So now for something completely different. As you know, you all approved a previous version of this project when the homeowners intended to build a second story, a two-story addition. Larger, more comfortable kitchen, family room, screen porch, and primary suite upstairs. For a variety of reasons, they decided to make the livable space on the first floor. And so it has no impact on the exterior, but we would be using the front family room as a room that could be used as a sleeping room. And what was a powder room is being repurposed as a 3/4 bath with a shower, a zero entry shower. And so that left just the small matter of making it look good without that second floor on. So it is a very different project, and we weren't at all surprised to have the opportunity to come back here and share it with you again. So there is the large gable runs over the kitchen and the family room, and the space is vaulted in the family room side. And then the primary task, the challenge seemed to be to control the massing from the back. So good thing, the whole addition is a lot less massive, but getting the roofs to look natural from the rear was the challenge that we worked on. So if you go to the rear elevations, so it actually looks, in some respects, an awful lot like the previous version. So the mudroom, the rear entry is exactly where it was. It's, if anything, slightly more like the original in the sense that the door is at the back. In the previous iteration, if you'll recall, the door was on the south. Otherwise, the materials, the stucco, the brick roll-lock sill, Marvin aluminum-clad windows, that's all the same on the mudroom. So far, so good. So the screen porch became a sunroom in the revisions, and that has a low slope roof with the steps and the deck area off of it. And so with the gable at the rear, we're shifting over one window, and we lose one window, replacing the window to the bathroom with the skylight. And again, the materials are all as you saw them last time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, questions for the applicant?
I have a question. So that's the skylight that's below the dormer?
It is, yeah.
Right, okay. Because it just seems slightly off center from the bathroom window. Is that because it's trying to center for the room that it's lighting below, right?
No, I think it has to do, it does stand out when you look at it. You'd have to be way at the back of the lot to notice this. I think it has to do with where the shower is in the bathroom and where we could put a skylight. So that's why it's there, yeah. I don't think we included a second floor plan. And Kate, I don't know if you have our previous.
Yeah, I just didn't include them because I didn't want it to be the two to be confused.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
substantially kind of an entirely different project, even though it's very similar in
Right.
some respects.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that window was the light and air for that bathroom, and without a skylight, we would meet code with a fan, but there wouldn't be any natural light. And part of the motivation is to do less than we were doing before, so we didn't feel that renovating the second floor bathroom to make the skylight centered was a good use of the client's money.
Other questions?
Yeah, I do. Are you saying that, sorry, that's a new skylight though, right?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you didn't want to renovate the bathroom, but you are adding a skylight.
We don't want to renovate the bathroom, but so we're losing a window because
I
of where
see.
the roof,
Oh,
the
right.
addition hits it, so we have to get the light and air, the skylight is the way to do that, yeah.
Yeah. Have you thought of those, I don't know if this even works, are those like tubes, thermal, those tubes that let in light? I don't know how
Yeah,
that,
it's a skylight.
is that a similar look on the outside? Or,
We've never specified those. I think they're
Just one.
generally specified because they have like a reflective tube that comes down, so where there's like a long shaft.
Yeah, and there's not
If they're
there.
smaller, I think the idea is to just get some light, so we would specify the smallest standard size Velux skylight that we could get. And if those, and I forget the solar tubes maybe? If those are more diminutive and do the trick, we could probably look at those. There's not a great distance between the skylight, but it might be appropriate. I don't know if you guys have strong feelings about it. We wouldn't get the air. I guess this we would be able to vent. But that's something we could talk about.
Tom, I'm trying to understand that the pop-up, which is got a little shed dormer on it and the awning window, is that over the hallway?
No, that's the bedroom, right? In the attic? The third floor in the
Oh,
attic?
you know what I'm looking at, the second floor? Yeah, I see.
So that skylight is actually going through, so there would be a little bit of a shaft because it's going through a chunk of attic, and then beyond that, which
But it's lighting the second floor bathroom.
It
is
is,
that
yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
the upper thing is the third floor bathroom.
right, exactly.
What's the roofing material over the sunroom?
It would be I don't know that we called it out. It would be a low slope material, so it would either be a modified bitumen or a TPO. I'm happy to do a deep dive on that if that's
No, I was just curious.
something reflective that his roofer's going to stand behind.
So I'm still trying to figure this out because the skylight is centered on the new ridge, and that would mean that the shed dormer, which is the third floor bathroom, is actually not center, doesn't center up.
Well, our addition is not centered on the existing house because of a setback.
Right, it shifts over.
Yeah. So you can see it's a couple of feet there.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a bit of a dilemma, but certainly not a deal breaker.
I have a question, and it's possible that I'm just missing it on the drawings. On SD 2.4, the proposed east elevation above the sliding patio doors, is that another skylight that kind of pops up?
That is a skylight, and because it is a low slope roof, there's a curb that comes up. And we can minimize that to whatever the manufacturer's minimum is.
And that's the sunroom that you were just saying would be bitumen or
Yeah,
something
it would be a
because of the low slope.
quote-unquote flat roof, right?
Mhm. Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Deliberation? I'm sorry, is there members of the public who want to speak on this project? No? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. Deliberation among commissioners?
I mean, I think the roof shapes are complicated and difficult, but it's a hard solution to find a better, that would be, like, I struggle with it, but I can't quite think of a way to make it improve. So, I don't know if my fellow commissioners have a similar, it's not something that at this point I think is a deal breaker for me at all, but it's just tough, and I'm sure Thomas went through the same process where it's like it's tough with the low slope roof intermingling with a gable roof, intermingling with another gable roof, intermingling with, like, it's a difficult, but it is the rear of the house. It's not going to be highly visible. It's not impacting the front, so I don't know. It's not something that I would find a deal breaker, but I'd be curious if you guys have similar concerns.
What page are you on for that?
SG 3.0.
Okay, in the packet, it's 99.
Thomas, does the low slope roof lead to a gutter on the back edge, or is there an interior drain?
No, definitely not an interior drain. There's a gutter that runs all the way around, and
On two sides.
on two sides, right? And I think we just have right now we're just showing the one downspout that's probably tying into the one on the gable roof at the west side of the, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question. What's on the rear? What's that? I don't know, understand the flat part of the roof in the center. Is that a chimney? Like, what is that?
That's a skylight.
Oh, another
Yeah.
skylight.
Yeah,
That's
so-
flat. Okay.
That's the one that I was asking
I
about.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's a low slope,
I missed that one before. Okay.
yeah, it comes up.
It looks
with
like somebody might have made off with your pointer. But yeah, so that was in the last iteration that you all saw, that was a screen porch. And so the idea was to, make it usable year round, but really make it bright. So with the low slope roof, the manufacturer wants to see a curb to make sure water's not,
I see.
snow's not melting right at the opening there. Yeah.
Was there adequate documentation for the railings and so on that you felt? Commissioner Jacobs? No questions about that?
No.
I mean, my feeling, since we're talking about roof, is that it's at the back and there's also a variety of roof pitches going on, especially in the front. There's a few coming together. This is a contributor to the district, right? I just want to make sure that
It is. It's a contributing structure, not a
rather than an
landmark.
individual landmark.
Correct.
So I'm inclined to to be okay with it.
I mean, the other thing to consider is that these perspectives are kind of from a bird's eye view, and they're not from, eye level. Oh, okay. But, so that flat roof doesn't really show up prominently as, right.
Again, in terms of choices, the house is a stucco house with a brick base, and the brick base is carried around, and then there are masonry columns for the sun porch, and then the little stair mudroom addition. And I see that they're basically an adaptation or taken from the previous addition on the back, which was that mudroom space. And I wonder if the horizontality of that band wouldn't be stronger if those were just stucco like the rest of the house. But again, I certainly don't object to them.
If the piers were?
Hmm?
If the piers
yeah.
were stucco. I don't know if you can look at the front. The existing house is oddly,
Does the front have masonry piers?
the front is very much like the existing rear mudroom. So it has brick base with the brick piers. That's the
Oh,
The front
okay.
entry there.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So page 93 is where we are.
I had just one comment about the scope for the paint, where you're doing some infill for the stucco. It looks like the scope might just be painting just where you're infilling on that wall. Okay,
Yeah.
edge to
No,
edge, corner, top to
I
bottom.
apologize if the note said we're just going to do that little square. We know
Yeah.
wherever we're changing something on a surface, at least that whole wall has to be recoded, right?
Lovely.
Other deliberations? Okay, do we have a motion?
No.
Commissioner
a
Cohen?
motion. I have to scroll all the way, oh.
I know, that's what I was.
Okay, I move that we grant a certificate of appropriateness to 2241 Sherman Avenue, Northeast Historic District, 23 Pres 0125, granting the applicant Thomas Ailman on behalf of the owner a certificate of appropriateness to demolish an existing single-story addition and uncovered deck at the rear of the home and alter the east elevation fenestration and construct a new single-story addition and uncovered wood deck at the home's rear. Applicable standards: demolition 1 through 5, alteration 1 through 10, and construction 1 through 8, and 10 through 15.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second, Commissioner Z. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to approval.
Thank you for the Studio Talo show. I think this has been one of the shortest meetings in history, and I think it's a compliment to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Good night. Moving on, approval of meeting minutes. I am told that we do not actually have to vote on the meeting minutes. We just have to have a conversation about them. So, does anyone have anything to add to or change or whatever to the minutes of the meeting on June 13th? Commissioner Klein?
I realize that I only have one more meeting, but Kate, could you put me as absent and not just completely eliminate me from the commission just yet?
To my credit, I did not take these minutes.
Darn.
But
No,
yes, we can make that change.
That would be my only comment.
Yes. You're still a commissioner.
You're being ghosted already? All right. Other than adding that one addition to the minutes for June 13th, is there anything else? Anything, Commissioner Klein?
No.
Okay. In that case, the minutes are approved. Is that, you said that that's okay, right?
Yeah, this is just, we received some training on how to expedite meetings, and this is one of the small tips, is that you don't have to have a motion or a second for something like this. You can just ask if anyone has any changes. If there's no changes, you can say that, seeing that there are, no changes being requested, the minutes can be approved, or in this case, approved as amended by Commissioner Reinhold.
All right, seeing that there are no additional items or changes to the minutes, they are approved with this one change. Okay, moving on to number 6 on the agenda. Discussion, no vote will be taken. The first item is the commissioner candidate search.
Yeah, just a very brief update on some of the work that was done. I think some of the exciting work is we identified nearly 100 different entities or locations to distribute information to, and we've made good progress on that already. I think the bulk of that should be completed by the end of the week. I also do have some flyers for some commissioners if you have locations or interested individuals that you'd like to hand those out to. Obviously, we have a new commissioner, which we're very excited about, and then have 2 leaving in September, so we will have 3 vacancies after September.
So we used to have 2, and now we only have 1, and then in September, after September, we will have 2 more. So the pitch is 3. And everyone got my email, or you do not have my email? No, I sent an email about this. So I will forward that to you, and the idea was then that's just something you can forward on to other people. And I did hear from some of you. Thank you very much for who you've sent it to, and hopefully we'll get some interest. And we just saw one council member who who told us that he had seen, so I wrote to all the council members also, and he's seen the email, and I wrote to the mayor, and it got into the, did you guys see? It got, our Cumbia commissioner got into one of the e-blasts for the city. So that was exciting. So it's, we just have to keep going at it. You have the flyers with you tonight, the hard copies?
I do. Yeah, I brought about 45 of them.
Great. So if anyone wants to put them up in hardware stores and everything, we have a whole list of places that we've identified, and happy to add more to that list. I did ask the council members to add things to our list also. Commissioner Ziem, did you want to say anything more about what we did, our list, or anything? I wanted to give you an
No,
opportunity.
I don't think so. Did everyone get the list with all the places that were identified?
We didn't, I think we just shared it among those of us who are on the committee working on it.
Yeah, I think it
But
was.
anybody, but it's a good idea.
It
If
is a good
anyone
idea.
wants to be shared on that, it's on their Google Drive.
Also, so it's not repetitive, so they don't
Right.
go somewhere
That's
that's
what I was
already-
thinking.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So it has, places to put your name and stuff if you've reached out. So it's sort of a mild tracking. Okay.
I did
so-
want to say, were we going to also post on like LinkedIn and things like that? I think Beth, you'd mentioned that. I thought that was a good idea. I don't know if we decided to do that, or if people want to.
Yeah, I think the idea was to go ahead and kind of create your own post with the JPEG or the PDF that
Okay.
we received. I myself have not done that, but it's a good reminder to do that.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been focused on writing these emails to others, but I'm going to put something on LinkedIn for sure. And I think I am connected to some of you there, but if you want to be connected to me, and then you can, what's it called, where you put the @ with the name, the term is, but anyway, tag people. You can do that too. So anyway, that was the main update on that. So the next, did anyone have anything else to add to that?
I just
Okay.
am
Oh, I'm
wondering,
sorry.
how does this, does normally, someone just applies and then it goes directly to the mayor to consider appointment, right? Or can you go through a council member as well as kind of like sponsoring someone from their ward? I'm just wondering.
I think there's always been instances where council members have identified individuals and encouraged them to apply. But then, yes, ultimately, the decision to appoint is by the mayor.
I actually think it would be great if the council members had people that were known in their wards and wanted to bring them to the mayor's attention. That would be great.
Personally, as someone who lives in the third ward, we were just talking about, the third ward is almost entirely in a historic district, so it just would be a good thing if, Melissa Wynn was notified of that and, was just keeping that on her radar. If anyone ever comes around and says anything preservation related, she's like, oh, you can apply, so.
Yeah, I wrote to her, and it was a variation on the email that I wrote to you guys, which has Cade's email address in it, and says, if anyone's interested, they can write to him or email him. Call him. Other thoughts? So we will keep on that. And then B, under discussion, no vote will be taken, is the Historic Preservation newsletter.
Again, just a brief update, but the intent is to get that out certainly by July, but the intent right now is to get that out by the end of the week. So look for that. We have somewhere around 2,800 subscribers who follow. Currently, the only thing the commission sends out are monthly agendas, but they do subscribe to that, and it would go to the same individuals. And I'm currently working on some additional content, including also what you sent me, Chair Dreller, and then I'll send that to you, and then also our communications division for approval before it gets sent out.
Yeah, I wrote kind of a welcome to our newsletter message that I described at our last meeting, so. And of course, we'll have the commissioner candidate search stuff on there as well. There is a link that people can go to sign up for that, and so it occurred to me that once we have a newsletter, we could begin to forward that out, and perhaps the link could be on the newsletter. I know that sounds weird because the people should have, if you're getting the newsletter, then but not necessarily, because people forward like, oh, I saw this newsletter, this is interesting. And then there's always a question, well, how do I sign up for that? So if we were to put the link for signing up to the newsletter at the bottom, then there wouldn't need to be another step. And then we could all start, if you wanted, to start forwarding that to people that we might be interested in. Every applicant that comes, see if they're interested in signing up for the newsletter. I mean, go ahead. Hold on. You need to be, so that they can record the meeting. And then just make sure, yeah, there you go.
In terms of the emails that get sent out for a Malou, the library, I mean, there's like a whole list. I was in the library the other day, and the gal's like, oh, what kinds of updates do you want? And she went down through everything, including, could we be included in that? Or is that an appropriate spot?
I think we're on that.
That's
Oh,
what,
okay.
yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's very buried. It's similarly buried to like if you want to apply to be on a board or commission, it's very difficult to actually find where to apply. And it might be even a worse example because I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing until the very end because you have to click like 5 times and then it populates this list of like 1,000 different things that you can click the little boxes that you want to subscribe for. And there is a box for the Preservation Commission, and that's where the 2,800 people have subscribed to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I actually had to ask Cade, I'm subscribed to it, but I had to ask Cade for the link because it's so hard to find. So that's why I was saying maybe we put it on the newsletter.
So I wonder if we could create like a short link
That would be,
or, something like, like tiny URL.
yeah,
dot,
Bitly or whatever.
like slash COE preservation or whatever. It's just so that it's short enough and it's easy to remember.
Is that a question for the communications folks?
I don't know if it's a fine question. I don't know if it's possible or not. I think where it would take you is at least to the page where you then have to check one of those 1,000 boxes. But I don't think there's any way to like click on it and automatically subscribe
No, but
to
at
the-
least it helps with navigating
Yeah.
the city
Sure.
website. You're not going through,
Yeah.
Right.
No, sure.
street cleaning and all that too.
Yeah,
That's all on there,
Along those same lines, truly, QR codes are the way of the future, right? Or maybe the way of the now.
Yeah, I
You
was just
know,
going to ask, did we
yeah.
put a QR code on that? I just wrote that down too.
Not on the flyer, there's no
Okay.
QR code.
Because maybe on like additional, like
Yep.
versions,
Yep.
because if we're going to post these
Yep.
places, that would be ideal.
Yes.
Yeah, you're tracking it. I just was like, wait a second.
Yeah, so actually, the reason why I said that is because I made a flyer for another volunteer thing that I do, and the QR code was really handy, so we should have included that. But I think that if we're going to populate this newsletter and forward it along to people, it would be nice to have, like, are you interested in, it's just counterintuitive to have a link to sign up for the newsletter in the newsletter, but actually that's,
The way, yeah, I agree. The way that documents travel now,
Right.
I think it's a fair addition.
yeah. And then going forward, anything that we do, we should have a QR code on there. They're easy to make.
Yeah.
I just, do we have to ask communications for that also?
Probably.
Okay, so that might have to go through the city, which is fine. So that's the newsletter update. If anyone is interested in being on that subcommittee, our new commissioner might be interested in some subcommittee work. That would be great, because once we have the newsletter, we need to keep it going.
Yeah, I think to that point, this is something that happens quarterly, so there's a good amount of time in between when this is released and the next publication. So if anybody has any interesting topics or something they would like to write, feel free to reach out and we'll make it happen. or former commissioners.
He said, or former commissioners, because, yes, we will never ghost you again, whether you want to be ghosted or not. Okay. We have reached the end of our agenda, so I'm going to call this meeting, right? Because we don't need a,
Same principle. Seeing no new business, this meeting is adjourned.
so we don't need to vote on that.
Correct.
Okay. Seeing no new business, meeting is adjourned. The next meeting of the Preservation Commission is scheduled for September 12th, 2023. The August meeting has been canceled. Good night.